Hey, I'm Roxy with Roxy's Broadway Breakdown. Welcome back to my channel where it's always about musical theater. And today I want to talk about immersive theater experiences. This is becoming a trend, I think, and only getting bigger and maybe more expensive to do because they are getting so much grander and bigger and more immersive. It's nothing new. This has been around for a really long time, but I do think it's getting bigger. And this is, when I say immersive, it's really bringing the audience into the show. This is more than just like a casual aside from an actor breaking the fourth wall. This is really roping the audience and making them a part of the show. So the best example, the most recent example that sort of is becoming all the rage in New York is Masquerade. The new, how do I say, transformative experience of Phantom of the Opera. So Phantom of the Opera is going on tour, like the original Phantom of the Opera, the original staging, maybe a few tweaks, but that's going out on tour this year, later in November of 2025. But right now, they have recreated the show Phantom of the Opera as an immersive experience off Broadway. And you cannot take any footage because the minute you get there, they take your phone and they put a sticker on your camera and they ask you just to put that away. So there's no bootleg footage coming out from this. But you're asked to come dressed in black, white, or red and come with a mask. I think they give you one if you don't have a mask. And people that are all over social media that have experienced this say wear comfortable shoes because you are taken through like almost this maze of rooms to experience this. Apparently once you get there, like Madame Giry sort of greets you, somebody greets you, and then Madame Giry is sort of acts like the narrator through this show. And it starts with the auction, but then the big number that sort of opens the show is Masquerade. Which usually opens Act 2, but they've taken things out of order, and it also sounds like they've sort of combined the movie a little, or brought in pieces from the movie with the show. So, but it sounds amazing. If somebody said right now, like, where do you want to go, or what show do you want to see? I would say, ticket to New York, let me go see Masquerade. But you are traveling through these different rooms, and you're taken, you know, downstairs to his lair with the gondola and the candelabras, and then you're taken upstairs and sort of like a behind the scenes look, like where they keep the ballet costumes, and you kind of get to see downstage where Don Juan is being performed, and then another room where you see Christine at the cemetery visiting her father's grave, and then another room where, you know, the Phantom and Christine meet, and there's all kinds of magic, and the Phantom may appear behind you, and Christine may hand you something, and so you really are involved in and around this experience, and it keeps moving. And apparently there's like pulses, so like every 15 minutes a show starts, and so they keep it like on a track, and there's different casts, so there's like different Christines and different Phantoms, and so the show is moving. And then afterwards you end up, and you end it all with like a glass of champagne at the end, and I think you can sort of, you know, meet and mingle with maybe some of the cast, or I don't know, kind of escorted out. Obviously there's like a, you know, like gift shop, obviously, where you can pick up swag and t-shirts and, you know, things, memorabilia programs, that kind of thing. But it sounds amazingly cool, and I would love to see it. People have had a really great experience in this very immersive kind of Phantom-like show. It sounds really cool. Another one I saw this summer that looked spectacular was an immersive experience of Grease. Again, they sort of combined Grease the musical and Grease from the movie, and they had it out at a park, and it was like a carnival setup. So they had rides and games and food, and then you walked into the theater to experience the show. And inside the theater, you couldn't film, but they had the vignettes set up from the show, like the diner and Marty's room where the slumber party takes place, and the mechanic shop for Grease Lightning, and the stage where the prom takes place. And so you could kind of experience the whole show as it happened, and you could join in with the choreography if you knew it, and the singing, and that was always encouraged. And then afterwards, everybody poured out of the theater into the carnival grounds again, and then Danny and Sandy did their classic "You're the One That I Want" and "To We Go Together," and you know, everybody was participating in the choreography, because who doesn't know the choreography at this point? We've all seen Grease so many times, and I thought, what a fantastic way to do Grease. Spectacular, so creative. Then Cabaret on Broadway right now, which is closing. Sad. I could do a whole video on why that's closing. But anyway, Cabaret on Broadway completely gutted a theater and to make it into this Kit Kat club. And so when you walked through, you felt like you were going into a 1930s German club, cabaret type club, and you could order your drinks, and you were completely immersed in this Kit Kat club, and you could even see like the actors in some of their dressing rooms and getting ready, and you just felt like you were, you know, sitting in this cabaret club, and the actors were coming up to you. And you know, very, very expensive show. One of the most expensive shows produced right now. Kind of contributing to the trouble of why it's closing. But anyway, like I say, time for another video. There was a show a couple of years ago, The Great Gatsby. And I don't know if it was a musical. There's so many Gatsby shows going on right now. The one on Broadway, another one coming by Florence Welch. But anyway, this was like held out like at a huge estate, like a Gatsby-like estate, and people were encouraged to come in costume, like 1920s costume, and they walked you through different rooms and did scenes from, like adapted scenes from the novel, and then outside afterwards there was like a big Gatsby-like party with dancing and music, and it just sounded really cool, and I was like, that would be cool to do a musical that way. So even back then I was like, it kind of reminded me now that I see this Grease and, you know, Masquerade type thing. I was like, that would be a really, you know, Gatsby would be really cool if they wanted to bring that back. You know, this Christmas, there was a huge Christmas Carol show, musical, done on Broadway several years ago that won Tonys, and they're bringing that back this Christmas for a limited run. I don't know if it's coming back to Broadway, but they're bringing that back. And that was very like an immersive experience, bringing the audience into this world of like old Dickens type Victorian London. And so, you know, just jolly old England, bringing you in, making you feel like you're part of that, you know, Ebenezer type world. And, so that's what I'm saying. Like, this is becoming more of a trend. And I don't know. I think sometimes some people like to just go and see a show and just be like, I just want to watch the show. I don't need anything to happen to me or around me or near me. And then some people, I think, love that sort of adrenaline and like, yes, I want to be a part of this show. I want to be up on stage with the actors. I want the actors to come and, you know, like pop up, or, you know, I want to feel like I'm part of the action too. I'm a theatrical person and I want to be a part of this. So, you know, something for everybody. Theater is ever changing, and I think it depends on the experience you're looking for when you go see a show. Let me know in the comments below. Do you like these new type of really truly immersive experiences, or do you just want to be a spectator and say, I'm just here to watch. I'm just here to watch. Let me know. Don't forget to click and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next.